where before everyone was up. So it's so interesting to see. So Goodyear has committed to energizing the team, and there's consequences if we don't work at it. So Tom's going to share his story of how he developed leadership practice, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sure.
All right.
So first of all, thank you for coming. Honestly, I'm kind of humbled that there's a room full of people here that are sitting here intently listening to me yammer on about my past. So again, thank you, and I appreciate it. What's also exciting to me is when I look at the core values, and we'll get to the slide here shortly, energizing the team is probably the one that, of the core values, or how we work, the one that I think is the most important, after integrity, obviously, but I think they work well together. And I'll explain that a little bit. So this slide really is an opportunity for me to share with you a little bit about myself. After graduation from college, I actually served in the United States Navy as a surface warfare officer. Spent most of my time in the Pacific Theater, stationed out of Pearl Harbor, and then Yokosuka, Japan, and back in San Diego. Then I came to work for Goodyear, so there's actually, from top left to top right, came to work for Goodyear in 1999. So I've been with Goodyear almost 20 years, started off as a tire engineer, worked as a tire engineer in earth mover tires for about 3 years, then I went to passenger, original equipment. From there I went down to San Angelo. In San Angelo I spent 5 years at our proving grounds in various roles. Left San Angelo in 2009 and went to Danville, Virginia, and I worked in our Danville, Virginia truck and aircraft plant as a technology team leader in curing and final finish. Let's roll back. I'm a mechanical engineer. If anybody knows anything about the manufacturing organization, curing is normally a compounder job, and that was an interesting experience. We'll have some beers later and talk about that. So after Danville, came back to Akron, worked as an enterprise project leader over here. At the time it was marketing. I'm not sure who the EPLs work for now, but I spent 2 years basically in the marketing organization as an enterprise project leader. From there, went back into technology as a customer engineering team leader for commercial truck tire testing, specifically the fleet testing that we do out when we're developing commercial tires. After that, after spending 2 years as a customer engineer, I had the opportunity to go down to Brazil. So I spent 2015 to 2017 working at the proving grounds in Americana. Essentially, I had responsibility for the management of the proving grounds, the automotive engineering team, as well as OE product development for Latin America. In 2017, got the opportunity to come back here to Akron, back in technology, as a chief in tire engineering, construction group 3, the great construction group 3, just so we're aware. I got a couple of folks in here on the team that I support, and hopefully they'll keep me honest and acknowledge, you know, when we talk about some of the things that we talk about, I'll say, yeah, it kind of makes sense that he does that. So, also, a little bit about myself. My family and I, we are all Taekwondo black belts. If you listen to we were students at Asian Sun, they said the family that kicks together sticks together. So we are a Taekwondo people. And then one of the other things, that's an old picture of my son. He's 6'3", 250 now, so I'm not 6 feet tall. He's much bigger than me. But when we start talking about how you engage people, how you energize a team, you got to practice. And it's not just football practice. It's being a coach. It's being a coach of young boys. It's being a coach of people around you. It's being a coach of people that potentially would be higher than you on the org chart. But it's constantly coaching and developing your craft and deliberately making a point to deliberately try and energize the team and not trying to sound down. In fact, I'll be a little bit more upbeat. So really being a coach is a way to practice energizing a team, because when you got to get these little boys all aligned to get in line and chase the ball and do what you want, you really have to give them purpose. You have to give them direction. They have to understand what they're in it for. They have to understand the bigger picture. All of these things is kind of interesting. I was chuckling when people were answering questions. It was like, well, I don't need to speak, because you pretty much said it all, quite honestly. So through the remainder of our time, I'll kind of tell you my story and how it pertains to my career here at Goodyear. So going back to the strategy roadmap, one of the, like I mentioned, Energize the Team, to me, is the one that kind of ties it all together. I have a fundamental belief that we hire honest people. So the question around acting with integrity, to me, is one that really you don't have to spend a whole lot of time on. You either act with integrity or you don't. It's almost binary. And part of our culture, you know, and there are examples where it doesn't happen, but in our culture, we create the environment where people have the opportunity to do the right thing all the time. There are opportunities, and we have examples, where there are situations where people don't act with integrity, and sometimes they get arrested and go to federal prison. But I don't think that's the norm. That's not when we hire top talent teams. That's not who we hire. I'll skip energizing the team. I will say promoting collaboration, I think, is a function of an energized team. An energized team is a team that is seeking out other people. In fact, Joe mentioned it today. You know, a collaborative team is a team that looks out for opportunities to learn and grow and draw upon experiences and knowledge that other people, that they may not have themselves. Again, building on an energized team. An energized team is going to be agile. They're going to see not just now, but they'll also be able to look out, they will be willing to and have the energy and desire to look out to the future and understand what's happening, and then adjust, and then make changes, and work together again, being collaborative. And then finally, if you do all of those things, you have the only result will be delivering results. Again, an energized team will act with integrity. An energized team will promote collaboration. It's just inherent in how they would operate with each other. They'll be agile, and then as a result, you will get results. One of the things I really like about the strategy roadmap is the wording, specifically around energizing the team. And I typically, and guys on my team will concur, I don't like reading to adults. I know at Goodyear we like doing that and looking at slides, but I will read this because energizing the team is creating an environment where associates are inspired by work, wellness, and serving their communities. It's not energize your people. It's create the environment where your people are energized. That's the special sauce. That's the special sprinkles. It's how do we as leaders, how do we as associates, how do we as team members create this environment where people want to be energized. And again, going back to a lot of the things that were said in the discussion, it's giving people direction. It's valuing the work that they're doing. It's recognition. It is all of those things. And I think, again, through the remainder of our time, I'll kind of talk through a little bit about my experience. And one of the other things I'll tell you, there is business value in an energized team. When we talk about how you work when you feel energized, one of the things that there are lots of folks that have written about is tapping into folks' discretionary effort. Discretionary effort at a high level is the amount of energy that you are willing to put in above and beyond. We all have it. We sometimes have discretionary effort that we use in our volunteer activities. We might use it at work. We might use it with our families. An energized team is a team that is willing to tap into that discretionary effort. You know, there are folks that are like, well, it's 3:45 and I leave at 4. Ooh, that last 15 minutes, I'm just going to wrap it up, as opposed to expending the discretionary effort where it's like, it's 3:45, it's probably going to take me a half an hour. Okay, I can hang out to 4:15, 4:30 to get it done. An energized team, that's just normal behavior. So there is a business value. It helps. It makes people feel better about the work that they're doing, and we get more. We get more out of folks, and they're very willing to contribute. So, to me, again, an energized team, creating the environment where people feel good about the things that they do. They understand the value of what they do. They understand and are valued as associates. Are the things that tap into that discretionary effort. And oh, by the way, all the other stuff on how we will work happens. So I think that's it. So one of the things there are a couple of slides up here with some pretty big pictures. When we think about the traditional leader-manager model, The one is where you have the traditional managers on the top, and is over the middle managers, workers, and then really the customers are the ones at the bottom. They're not necessarily highlighted here, but that's really the way this traditional model works. In this model, there is somebody called the boss. That's a bad word. That's the bad B word, because the boss really can dictate a lot of what can happen. And in this traditional model, this does not traditionally, at this point, in today's world, create a really engaged workforce. I don't like working for bosses. Bosses to me I just don't like working for them. And I don't like being, I do not like being referred to as a boss. Anybody want to check me on that one? Has it ever come up? But, okay, so boss to me this traditional model is a model that we sort of need to evolve from. So again, this slide is a slide that essentially kind of defines the way I look at the team that I support. And I am a team leader, I'm a chief, and it's the team that I support, not my team, the team I support. And I say that because I see myself as the team leader at the bottom, and my sole purpose is to support the goals, successes, and achievements of the people that are my direct reports. I'll let that sink in a little bit. Part of making sure everybody is energized, making sure people feel valued, is focusing on the people. When we listen to a lot of the things that people have talked about at Goodyear, people are our number one asset. They are the most important part of Goodyear. Do we behave that way? Do we as leaders and managers focus on our individual team members' success? And I'll tell you, if you focus on your team member or your direct report success, you will be successful. If you focus your time and energy on the people that report to you, they will amaze you. People will rise to their lowest level of expectation. So if you increase and raise the level of expectation and give them the opportunity and create the environment, again, there's some how-tos here, but if you create the environment where people are going and they believe you want them to be successful, they will be, and you will be. I think that's so. Tell you a little bit about my own personal experiences and some examples. So I told you that I went to Brazil. When I went to Brazil, one of the things that it was clear, and there'll be an additional slide, and I don't see any Brazilians or native Portuguese speaking people in here, so it'll probably be just as funny. But one of the things I had to do very clearly early on was sort of define, what are we here for? What is this team at the Proving Grounds? What is our purpose? What is our mission? Why do we exist? Why is Goodyear paying for us? And really, the Proving Grounds, and I put this pictorial together, the Proving Grounds is kind of in the middle. We have the customer up top, and it's not by mistake. And then we have the technical organization, which would have been the technical centers, and then the business. So we, as members of the team at the Proving Grounds, this is our job. It's to be the trusted development partner. We have linkages to all of these different organizations, and if we work to be a trusted development partner with these three organizations, we're going to be a successful team. We are going to do what Goodyear not only wants, but needs us to do. So again, if you want to talk about what do you need to do to start energizing the team, and it came up, it's clearly defined what your team is there for. Without clear definition, you kind of just wander around and hope for the best, hope that somebody cares about what you're doing. And again, this is not divergent from the strategy roadmap. In fact, it's exactly aligned. This is kind of winning at the intersections, just simplified a little bit for our specific environment. And people could look at this and look at the strategy roadmap and say, you know what, they fit. They're very much aligned. So this was how I approached the Proving Grounds. So when I got there, again, drawing on my examples, the Proving Grounds was a very interesting experience. The folks there speak Portuguese. I did not. In fact, I learned a little bit of Portuguese, but of the 13 or so associates that were there, 8 of them spoke no English, 2 of them spoke English okay, and then 2 of them, well, not so much, they knew words. And so one of the things that I did was, okay, there's a certain amount of humility. You have to share and really believe it. So what I did, this is again an example, was in one of the first meetings, I essentially said, "Minha regras para esta reunião," which is my rules for this meeting. Now, I will tell you, and again, nobody's going to laugh at me because you don't know any better.
They might.
Well, unless there are Portuguese-speaking people, which is possible, I did some Google Translate, and which can be dangerous. But I tried to gather as much as I could to actually conduct this meeting in Portuguese. And one of the things I said is, okay, my rules, minhas regras para esta reunião. I'm going to try and speak in Portuguese as much as I can. And I did have the English up there. Actually, that's not true, I did. But eu vou tentar falar português tanto quando eu puder. I'm going to try and speak in Portuguese as much as I can. Vou ter de falar inglês quando eu falar sobre algumas coisas, porque elas são mais complicadas. So I'll try and speak in English, but there were a couple of times when we were talking about specific things around safety where I just had to not leave room for interpretation. In fact, I used a couple of the guys that did speak English pretty well to sort of help me make sure my point was clear. Now, by this third line, people are kind of chuckling because I really sounded horrible. I still do. I mean, I don't want to go into the Latin America region and say any of this stuff because they'll still laugh at me. But, o que pararia se eu ser engraçado? Não me ofender, eu preciso aprender a falar corretamente. So it's okay to laugh if I sound funny. Right? So I'm this new guy from Akron, and I'm telling them it's okay because I know I sound goofy. I know it. There's no way I can't. I've been in Brazil like a month. It doesn't offend me, but I also need to learn, right? I need to learn how to speak Portuguese. I need your help. So now I'm somebody who's not this guy from Akron. I'm telling them I need to learn from you. I need to learn how to integrate into this team. The most important, okay, a coisa mais importante é que você entenda o significado do que estou falando e dizer. So the most important thing is you understand the meaning of what I'm trying to say. And then, se você não entender algo ou tiver dúvidas, por favor, para mim, e vamos descrever juntos. So if you don't understand something or have questions, and they did, because that's not grammatically correct, we'll stop and we'll figure it out. So part of me establishing myself at the proving grounds was being humble, right? I mean, there's no other way for a leader to truly start making sure that the folks are engaged. If the leader isn't going to be somebody that you can approach, and they certainly laughed at me. It was really kind of funny, and I was humanized, right? I wasn't just this guy from Akron who was there to help. So part of this also, and the wording here is kind of specific. So again, I'm a new guy from Akron in this Brazilian culture, and I asked them, what are your expectations of me as your leader? Again, this is early on, and I recommend this exercise. If you have direct reports, you do it. It doesn't matter when, but earlier the better. What are your expectations of me as this person here? What do you think I should do? And they shared with me some things, and I'll get back to that. And then, what should be my expectations of you? So it wasn't it was very specific, and them understanding to help me understand what I should be for them. And we did this in the meeting, and then they went off, and together they kind of I expected them to do it individually, but they sort of went off together, and they came back and sort of told me. It was kind of funny. At first they were a little timid, but they shared with me, what are the expectations of me? So They wanted me to make sure that they stayed connected to the organization. They wanted me to know that they were going to be professional. They wanted me to know that they were going to be safe. And oddly enough, when you're in a new culture, it was very important to them that I understand how important being part of the family was, being at the proving grounds. Now, in our day-to-day work here, most of us don't really consider whatever department we're in, whatever function we're doing, we don't necessarily consider ourselves family, but they do. So it's very insightful for me when we start understanding who this group of people are, because you have to understand your people, and I'll get to that too. It was very insightful that in their first opportunity to talk to me, it was important that I understood that we needed to be a family. And again, somebody who's trying to energize a team sort of has to listen to what the folks are saying. What should be my expectations of you? Yes, again, they expected me to expect them to be safe, professional, and to be friendly and to have conversations. So in Brazil, if you've ever spent time there, the leader or manager greets everybody every day. So you spend the first half hour of your day going through and shaking everybody's hand, and if it's a woman, a kiss on the cheek. That's just how it is. So understanding what the folks need as part of the culture is also part of how you start getting to the team and understanding the team. So that's next. I think that's next. So let's go back. So we won't go to reflections yet. So here's the two things. So really, when I was in the Navy, when I basically gotten out of officer school and went to my first ship, my first command, I was on board. I literally had just checked in with my paperwork, had been on board for less than an hour. And a crusty old salty chief, coffee cup in hand, grabs me by the collar. Sir, you want to be successful? It's a loaded question. Kind of, yeah, sure. He goes, sir, there are two things you need to do. Okay. He said, first, you need to take care of your people. Okay. Second, you need to take care of your people's money. If you do that, your people will take care of you. I thought, okay, that seems kind of easy. But there's actually quite a bit of wisdom in that. Taking care of your people. And it's applicable here. So taking care of your people in the Navy means understanding what your people need. You might have a brand new seaman recruit who's been out of boot camp 6 weeks and really has no idea how to do anything. So understanding who your people are and what their needs are is paramount in starting to energize your team. Understanding what their needs are. And it's not at your own sacrifice or the sacrifice of what you need to get done, but it is understanding what their individual needs are, whether it's training, whether it's encouragement, whether it's recognition, whether it's this person who has done the greatest thing you've ever seen. All they want is a handshake and a pat on the back, and not to be brought out as a spectacle in front of everybody else for the great work that they did. And the only way to do that is to spend time with your people. The only way to do that is to learn who they are. It's to spend one-on-one time with them and truly care about them. Because we can all relate to when we know our manager or leader or boss doesn't care, doesn't know how many kids we have, doesn't know what our personal situation is, doesn't know where we live, doesn't know we just bought a house, doesn't know the kinds of things that you're struggling with at work or at home. So the first thing is understanding who your people are. Take care of them. Take care of your people's money. So in the Navy, true story, you might have somebody who's 19 years old, making $1,500 a month with 2 kids at home. Wife's 18 years old, first time she's ever left Oklahoma is now she's in Yokosuka, Japan. And this young person goes on a trip and they spend some money out of their out-of-pocket money. Well, if they spend $200 or $300 out of pocket and you don't turn that travel claim around, they might not buy groceries that month. So the $200 or $300 that may not seem that big a deal is a really big deal to that young sailor who who's got to determine if he's going to buy groceries for his little kid. So really, it's taking care of your people and taking care of your people's money. So what also in the Navy, what does that mean? Naval advancement, right? So people take exams to advance. So taking care of your people is understanding where your individual sailor or soldier's gaps are and what they know and what they need to do their job, giving them the time to make sure they can study, and making sure that they know that, hey, in order for you to advance, you have to take this test on a certain day, and do you have everything? Do you have all your quals signed off? Do you have all of that stuff done? Okay, fast forward. How does that apply here to Goodyear? It's the same thing. I mean, taking care of your people is understanding who your people are. It's not coddling people. It's not, again, sacrificing yourself for what you need to get done. But it's stepping back and saying, okay, who is this person that's on my team? Who are they and why are they here? Because they make a decision, just like each one of us does. Make a decision whether or not we're going to come into work every day. And it's our responsibility to make sure we create this environment where they want to come into work, where they feel valued. And the only way to do that is to understand them. It's to know each individual. It's not just one group, it's to know each individual. I can tell you a story of no names, but I have an associate whose son was in a car accident. And this is a high-performing associate, and I noticed on our one-on-one that she was a little distracted. Hey, associate, what's going on? Well, my son was in an accident. Okay, is he okay? Yes, he's fine. But he's a little skittish about driving. Okay, associate, do you need some time? Is there anything that you need? Well, my son, he works. I may have to leave a couple days early to make sure he gets to work. Okay, associate, that's fine. I have no issue with the things that you're doing. In fact, you're doing a great job. Please let me know if there's anything I can do. And the only reason why associate would share that with me is because after, we've been having one-on-ones 6 months, for 6 months where I'm learning about the fact that she grows chickens and, all sorts of things. Pretty interesting. Didn't know that. So fast forward next one-on-one. Hey, how's your son? Well, he's doing better. He's driving. He and his girlfriend are getting their stuff back together. And I'm having trouble with the insurance claim. Okay, what's going on? Well, his truck was totaled, and one of the things that it's really been a challenge for us to try and get the insurance company to really come through. Okay, hold on. You do know there's an employee assistance line. It's changed names, but we, Goodyear, offer free legal advice to folks for situations just like this. So, associate, here is this number. Give these folks a call, and they'll help you. Oh, okay. All right, thanks. Fast forward, next one-on-one. Hey, I didn't really need to call that number, but I appreciate it. It turns out we got the insurance thing settled, and I appreciate you telling me about this line. Okay. And in our one-on-ones, I've been telling you about the things that I have going on, but I'm sure you don't know the fact that I can write tests, and I can do X3D, and I can do all these other things. No, associate, I didn't know that. Actually, what we're probably going to do is start loading you up with a couple of these different things that you're talking about, because no, I had no idea you could do those kinds of things. So again, end story. That's understanding who your people are. This associate felt valued. It wasn't that I was trying to make her feel valued. I did. I care about her. She's a high performer. I want her to continue to perform. And part of that is understanding what her needs were. And really, in this situation, she just needed a little bit of time. She needed a little bit of somebody to talk to for a little bit. And she is still high performing. Again, there are 23 people on the team that I support, and I could probably tell you a story about each one. Some not as dramatic, but pretty much the case with each one. We all have stuff. Our life happens. With that Goodyear, how do we take care of people's money? Well, again, there are lots of ways that we do not control people's salary. But anybody who manages or approves expense reports, get it done fast. I mean, especially if there's out-of-pocket money, that's something you can control. That is something that you have 100% control over. When you talk about people in promotions and making sure they're aware of the different roles that might be out there, or in our technical organization, there's a way that we promote people within the organization. Make sure people understand what they need to promote. Make sure people understand what's out there for them, and you know what, sometimes you have to push them on, and it's okay for them to go on and promote. That's ultimately what's going to be better for the organization. So here at Goodyear, it's really the same two pieces of advice. Take care of your people, and take care of your people's money. I remember it like it happened this morning. And taking care of your people, the way you got to do that is just listen to them and talk to them and pay attention and flip the laptop down and look at them and engage them in the eyes and write stuff down, you know, when they talk about it, and then actually care. I mean, that's kind of a big part of it, and you have to practice at it. It doesn't come natural to some people. I am not, although my name is Tom Peoples, I am not a people's person. And I am by nature a little bit introverted. And really on this leadership journey, I've had to work very diligently to be able to look people in the eye and talk to them about their personal life and talk to them about my personal life and develop a relationship with those folks. And when you take care of your people, it's having that relationship and that connectivity and that connection to them. And then when you do things like, okay, this is where we need to go. This is what we need to do. This is what's in front of us. It becomes very easy. It doesn't ensure trust, but it creates an environment for trust. If your people believe that you have their interest in mind, that they will perform. If they believe that you are not just looking up, but unless you're looking up as at them, but if they don't believe that if they believe that you're not in the traditional management, I got to please the boss kind of environment, they will do more. They will surprise you. You will be amazed, and people will be energized. We talk about it's funny, not funny, interesting that all of the kinds of comments that came back out, those are all a result. Those all happen. Those all happen. I mean, you talk about, okay, this is what we got to do. Okay, let's go. Let's reach out to Billy, because Billy knows this kind of stuff, and you know, okay, we have a deadline. These are the things that we got to do to make sure that we beat this deadline. Again, it's understanding your people, understanding your people's needs, and then taking care of them. Again, not like an I'm going to take care of you kind of way, I'm not talking about that, but taking care of the things that they need and eliminating the barriers to their success. I would say more than 75% of my role is kicking down the barriers to keep my people, that are keeping my people from being successful. What is it that I can do to make sure that you will be successful? I'm going to challenge somebody, Addison. Have we had that conversation?
Basically every 2 weeks.
So what is it that we're going to do to make sure that you can be successful? And when that is kind of the foundation of what we'll kind of talk about servant leadership. And I think we're probably at year 350. All right, so we can have what is this reflection? Okay, so we'll get here real quick, and I apologize. I'm passionate about this. I don't know if you feel it. I mean, it's kind of a big deal. I believe it. I believe it as I sit here and breathe. But what I've been talking about at the foundations of servant leadership. And servant leadership is when you put your team, when you put your individuals on your team first. Again, it's not sacrificing yourself, but it's working to make sure your folks are successful. And the things that they need are direction. The things that they need are tools. The things that they need are encouragement. The things that they need are recognition. And it means a lot of different things to recognition is a tricky one. Because if you put the wrong person in front of the group, they will never do anything again. And if you don't and there are certain people, if you don't kind of put them in the front of the group and say, yes, Jimmy, you came to work today, good job. You know, you might have a challenge.
That's me.
And it's different, it's not generational, it's not millennials, it's understanding individuals. So here's an opportunity, as we're sort of winding in on the hour, some questions that we'd like you to sort of think about and really write down. So what are what are the 5 attributes of the best leader or manager, I'm not going to say that B word, that you've ever had? I mean, you've been here a good year. This should be like a list, like 30, 40. All right, I see a lot of folks getting close to 3, 4, 5. All right. So as you're finishing up the 5 that you like, or 5 that you thought were the best, write down 5 leadership or managerial things that you've experienced or you're aware of that really are no bueno. You didn't like. You know, originally it was like, name 5 bad things, but we don't want to put that on the slide. I do have a new closing statement or something profoundly happened. I'll lighten it off. Thank you, Mike. All right, so let's take a quick sec and kind of look up and really. So when you look at list 1, how many of those things are you actually doing? You know, if you manage folks, like, are you doing the things on your list? And again, this is more of a reflection. All right, let's go. And then obviously the next question is, of the things that you wrote down on list 2, are there any of those things that you're doing? And again, you gotta sort of ask yourself, I don't know the answer. And then, you know, obviously is, why aren't you doing the stuff in 1? And why are you doing the stuff in 2? Again, that's for you to figure out. You know, what kind of leader do you want to be? And what's stopping you? Stopping you from being that person?
So it's interesting as you talk, I'm just struck by the story, and we all work at leadership every day, whether you're leading yourself, leading and supporting teams, or leading parts of the business, and there's days you don't do it as well. You might micromanage the stuff on list 2, right? You might not be as present for your team, but in a practice, just like a sport or violin or yoga, you go back to it, right? So we don't have to be perfect leaders, we have to be committed leaders, right? So you get back to it. So there are many development resources at Goodyear. Notice in this hour, we didn't say do this, do this. He told a story and what works for him. So some of the resources that are available for you that support really the practices of a serving leader, one is our Grow Coaching Workshop. Now, before I get into these, we didn't do a whole expose on what is a servant leader. How many of you have read anything about servant leadership, or you might have seen a TED Talk or anything like that? Okay, several of you. Well, I came from Cleveland Clinic, and we immersed in servant leadership a lot. So I'm experienced with it. And what I find is that all of that we do at Goodyear to develop our leaders is really, they're practices of a serving leader. And they have funny names like Run to Great Purpose, Blaze the Trail. So I'll just give you a highlight of them. Creating a Cause, which Tom hit on. Blazing the Trail by coaching, teaching, and equipping. Raising the Bar by communicating high expectations. Upending that pyramid, right? So Tom showed that where the triangle was upside down. Creating empowerment through shared leadership. And I love the story in Latin America where they told you how to lead. They shared
told me what they
leadership.
needed.
They told you. And building on strengths. Contributing your strengths, but finding people who can prop you up because you can't be good at everything. So those are the elements of serving leadership. And these development resources, classes, cohorts, tools support all of that. So the Grow Workshop is a one-day coaching class and practice. Diane, we met in that class.
We did.
Kelly, you teach that class, right? So there's a lot of practice. This is the kind of May-June schedule for Akron campus workshops, and you'll see the Grow workshops starting up again in May and June. So you have this at your fingertips. While we say it's the Grow is the coaching model we use, it's an acronym for Goal, Reality, Options, and Way Forward. We say it's for people leaders. Anyone may come, right? Because you're all leaders. So Grow Workshop, I highly recommend. Exploring the leadership landscape. This just started last year. Your handout that looks like this is Exploring the Leadership Landscape. This is a 12 to 15 month leadership development cohort for people in their first 2 years of leadership. The next one I think starts in May. That's also on the sheet. So this is running all the time. So this is a great cohort for you. Online. So Goodyear Learning Center, the GLC, when you go into GTMS and you do your objectives and all that, if you go to learning, we have 2 world-class resources. So LinkedIn, right? You probably go on LinkedIn from time to time. LinkedIn has a whole online repository of learning called lynda.com, and Goodyear just invested in it. You'll see it featured downstairs at the Development Depot. So lynda.com, we also have Harvard Online. It's called Harvard Managed Mentor, open to all salaried. These are the best online resources. So you can go in there and look at serving leadership or influence or accountability or having difficult conversations or engaging others. You can put in anything and you'll find all kinds of online learning. And also online, on the Go page, where it says My HR, there is an option called Talent Central. And there are all kinds of new leader resources for you. So you go to Go and then My HR and go to Talent Central, and there are books and TED Talks and all kinds of things. Because Tom found serving leadership on his own, right? So we all, there's Simon Sinek's Start With Why. There's all kinds of leadership ideas and concepts all out there, and they're all good. They're all to energize the team. And in fact, to support what Tom said today, you have kind of the interview I did with him that talked about Energize the Team and where he sees it going well, happening well at Goodyear, and some of the development resources that he has used that are listed here for you. So there are endless opportunities to develop in classes and big cohort groups and also online, which is on demand when you want it. So energizing your team, I think it's something you do for life. You do it for other people's lives, and you kind of work at it for life, right? It's an always thing. I share with my team members, I'll say, Katie, I care about you more than any objective. I care about her well-being and her feeling of success and her meeting her goals, and then the objectives will happen, right? So Tom and I came up with kind of the top 5 serve and coach and teach. And in our Grow workshop, it'll say refrain on the teaching, ask people their ideas. You probably don't have to teach a lot. It's more about coaching. Check in with your people every day if you can and acknowledge their contributions. Thank them. Seek and learn from mentors. There's a lot of good people who can share their ideas, like Tom. You might meet someone in a class. Leverage the resources that I shared with you, and those are just some of them. The development, Pit Stop down in the foyer has handouts on all kinds of development. And I don't know, reading, just reading and learning. And I know you like Maxwell.
I do.
And this says leadership isn't about titles, positions, or flow charts. It's about one life influencing another. So you had something you wanted to end with.
Yeah, so let me first thank you for spending this hour listening to me kind of talk. And Allison and I just kind of tell a little bit about myself and kind of my perspective on some things. But I do want to close with, so I'm the vice president of the Goodyear Veterans Association. It's one of the ERGs. There are a number of ERGs out there. If you're not part of one, I strongly recommend you participate in one. There's a lot of good stuff happening with the different ERGs. That's my pitch. But in a recent presidents and vice presidents meeting, something that came up that really hit home with me, and for a number of reasons. The president of HERO, which is basically the LGBTQT ERG, made a comment, and his comment was, part of our role here is to make sure everybody can bring their whole self to work. And in that context, there was a very specific thing that he was talking about, being able to come out at work and those kinds of things and feeling like there's an inclusive environment. But that applies to all of us, really. If understanding your people, well, if you want them to be energized, it's how do you create the environment that they bring their whole self to work, regardless of what's going on, regardless of what you're doing, regardless, because when they don't, in factories, that's when somebody gets hurt, right? That's when somebody's not paying attention and gets sucked into a machine, right? That's where, when somebody's doing a report, they're not bringing their whole self to work, there's something that they're focused on outside of work, that's when they make mistakes and, miss a decimal place or miss a timeline or didn't catch something. So really, when I think about what my goal, what my purpose is, as somebody who's in a position to manage and lead other people, is to make sure that they can bring their whole self to work, right? And then while they're here, make sure that environment is an environment where they feel good about the stuff that they're doing, because it's important. Otherwise, it shouldn't come in. It's incredibly important. We need to make sure we value the people ourselves, and the people we work with. So really, that was a kind of an aha moment for me, in a little bit different take on what I thought I'd kind of been doing all along. So
thank you for bringing your whole self to us.
I try. Got to work at it every day.
Thank you. Okay, it is 4:05, so we kept you 5 minutes longer.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Comment, if you didn't get the sign-in sheet, please make sure I'll have it up here with me so you get credit for the course. So stop by and sign on if you didn't have a chance to already.
And I hope this was a valuable use of this hour of your life.
Thank you.
Was it worth your hour?
Yeah, well, hold on. Enjoy. Thank you.
Did he tell the truth?
It's funny, my friend, she was a 5-month-old and I saw